Welcome to Retirement GPS, navigated by Synergy, your roadmap to a secure and confident retirement. Each week, we explore strategies, stories, and planning frameworks designed to help you navigate the complexities of life after work. From tax planning to investments, income strategies to risk management, our goal is to give you the clarity and confidence you need to make informed decisions. But retirement isn't just about the numbers. It's also about lifestyle, purpose, and peace of mind. We're here to guide you through both the financial details and the personal dimensions of this next chapter. Let's chart today's course.
Welcome back to the Retirement GPS podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Zaharchek, certified financial planner and founder of Synergy Retirement Planning.
And I'm your co-host, Zane Belsack, associate planner here at Synergy. So today we're shifting gears a little bit and talking about investing in the next generation, how to plan and actually save for a child or grandchild's education.
Because retirement planning is about more than just making sure you are taken care of. For many families, part of the legacy is helping kids and grandkids get a strong start. And really, what better thing to do with your money than to help your children and grandchildren with their education? And with college costs rising, it may feel like a huge challenge. I want to start with a story of members of ours, and we're going to call them Tom and Grace. They became grandparents last year, and one of the first questions they had for us was, we want to help our new granddaughter, Maya, save for her college, but how do we start? What's the right way to do it? They had heard of a 529, but they weren't quite sure how it worked, and frankly, they were skeptical. They worried, what if Maya didn't go to college? Or what if they put in too much? What does all that mean? So we walked through the details with them, and once they saw the flexibility and they realized the power of the 529, the tax-free compounding and what it could do as a tool to help them accomplish their goals, they were really blown away. They realized that they could help in a way that was tax smart, but still keep their retirement secure, and that was a big fear for them.
And in the meetings that I've been in regarding 529s, I feel like I hear this pretty often. Families want to help, but they don't want to jeopardize their own security or actually make a mistake with the rules.
And for most families, the 529 plan is the foundation of education planning. Think of it like buying a movie ticket ahead of time. You pay now, you lock in your spot, you lock in your price, and when the show starts, you just walk right in.
So instead of scrambling at the box office, maybe paying more, you've already got your seat reserved.
Exactly. The 529 works the same way. You put the money in early, it grows tax deferred, and again, this compounding word, right? The explosion of compounding, which is really what we love. And when it's time to see the show, college, you can use it tax-free for qualified education expenses. So even though it grows tax deferred, I like to say it's actually tax-free. It's really like the Roth IRA for college savings.
And what if the kid decides they don't actually want to see the movie or they don't want to go to college?
Yeah, that is the biggest fear that most people have when they're saving in the 529, but that's where the flexibility comes in. There's a lot of things that you can do if you're a child. I always joke with my parents, especially, or grandparents of the little baby, and I say, if little Maya wants to jump on a motorcycle with Snake and go cross country at age 18 and you don't hear from her again, what do you do with all this money that you've saved for her? Of course, that's not going to happen to our little princess. That would never happen. She's going to go to school and she's going to get a great education. But what if she doesn't? Or what if she wants to go to trade school? Or what if she wants to take a couple of years off before she goes to college? And the great thing is the 529 is flexible for all those things. So first of all, it does pay for trade school. You can use it for college up until the age of 30 years old. So if she decides to take a few years off, fantastic. She can also use it for grad school. She can use it for K through 12 tuition up to $10,000 per year. I like the idea of grad school. I want to go back to that one because if your child wants to do post-secondary education such as law school or medical school, an MBA, those can get very expensive, and the 529 would pay for that as well. And you can use it up to $10,000 to pay off student loans over a lifetime. So it's flexible in a lot of ways. Now, if the child doesn't go to college at all or doesn't use the money for education in any way, shape, or form, the easiest solution there is just change the beneficiary on the 529 to another beneficiary. Because remember, when you set up a 529, it's in your name. You are the owner. You retain ownership of that 529. They can't just take the money and jump on the motorcycle with Snake and go across country. It's your money. They don't have access to it. They're the beneficiary. you can take the money out for their benefit for education. All right. And that's really the difference. That's why it's so important that you can control that money. And if they decide not to go to college, you can always change the beneficiary to another family member. So that could be another child, grandchild, niece, nephew. The great thing is, and they just recently changed the rules that allows you to roll up to $30,000 from a 529 into the beneficiary's Roth IRA. So you're actually giving them a head start towards retirement. And if you listen to our last episode on tax planning, you know how powerful that Roth tool is. So ultimately, the worst case scenario is if you still can't find a way to use this money that you saved for education purposes, again, it remains your money. You can take the money back. You pay capital gains on the growth of the money that you had put in, and then you pay a 10% penalty. I have to be honest, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I've never seen anybody have to do that. 529 money is always easy to find. There's always an education need out there.
And I was just going to say that last part did seem pretty new, but the idea that leftover 529 money can actually seed retirement for the child if it's not all used for school is pretty amazing.
It is new because that used to be something that we never had, so it was not an option. But having at least $30,000 go towards the beneficiary and allowing them to save for their retirement is really fantastic. So even if there's too much money in there, if you save $250,000 and it only costs them $200,000 for college, well, $30,000 of that extra $50,000 can go towards a Roth IRA for the child. Just a lot of great options. It's really a game changer, and it helps to solve that one big fear that grandparents and parents have, which is, what if I overfund this account?
So, say you want to help. What's the best way to do it?
There are really two main ways to give. The first is through the annual gift tax exclusion. And as of today, October 6, 2025, you can give up to $19,000 per person per year without triggering any gift tax or reducing your lifetime exemption.
And it's also worth noting that this number, it isn't set in stone. The number can change.
It's a good point. And if you're a married couple gifting to a child or grandchild, that means you can actually give up to $38,000 a year. A pretty meaningful contribution, especially if you're funding something like a 529 savings plan. Then there's another strategy we really like called superfunding. This allows you to front load 5 years worth of those annual gifts all at once. So think of it like paying for 5 years of gym memberships up front. You can make one big payment now, and then you don't have to worry about it again for quite some time. So instead of putting $19,000 each year, you can contribute $95,000 at once per parent, whether you're a grandparent or an individual that just wants to give, or $190,000 if you're a married couple. So you can really jumpstart that 529 and take advantage of that compounding over time.
And as we always say, the earlier you invest, the more time that compounding has to work its magic. Starting early can make a huge difference down the road. And another question, what about families who don't want to use a 529 plan at all? Maybe they'd rather just pay tuition directly for a child or a grandchild.
Yeah, there's a huge advantage for that one. If you're a grandparent or a parent and you want to pay tuition directly to the school, you're not limited to the $19,000 annual exemption. The IRS actually allows you to give an unlimited amount for qualified tuition expenses as long as the payment goes directly to the educational institution. So please remember, don't make the check out to the child or grandchild. This should go directly to the education institution itself. Now that rule only applies to tuition. It doesn't cover room and board or other expenses. But it's really a fantastic way to help with education costs without triggering a gift tax. You could write a $50,000 check straight to the university for tuition, and it wouldn't count against your gift tax exclusion at all. So now let's talk about coordination, because this is where mistakes happen, and you can't double dip. So meaning you can't claim the same expenses for both a 529 tax-free withdrawal and take an education tax credit like the American Opportunity Credit.
So if you're using that credit, carve out those dollars separately and then use the 529 for the rest?
Yeah, that's it. And think of it like packing two different bags. You're about to travel and you don't want to pack the same bag and the same shirt twice. And another tip, if you are a grandparent wanting to save for your grandchild's education, keep the ownership of the account in your name. So in any 529, there is an owner and there's a beneficiary. The grandchild should be the beneficiary, but you, as the grandparent, should be the owner. And why is that the case? Because a lot of people want to give the funds directly to their kids to save in a 529 for their grandchildren, or they want to put it in the child's name or the grandchild's name. But we don't want to gift those funds and have them held in a 529 that is in either your adult child's name or the grandchild's name. And the reason for this is for financial aid, or FAFSA. So FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, which, as somebody who has 2 children in college knows, we have to fill this out every single year. Even if you make a good living, there is a really good chance that you can get some sort of aid, whether it be grants, scholarships, loans, depending on the academic level of your student, what school they go to, and of course what your financial situation is. But I've seen people who even make very good money getting good grants and scholarships because they have a child that's very academically inclined. So the key here is we want to make sure that when little Jane grows up and wants to go off to college and her parents apply for FAFSA, FAFSA is going to ask them certain questions about their financial situation. And it ties to the child's financial situation and the parent's financial situation. But it does not ask about the grandparent's financial situation. And 529s in the grandparent's name is not included on the FAFSA form. And that's what's really important, because it doesn't affect their ability to get scholarships. Now, they may have their own 529s that they've been saving since the child was born, and that's perfectly fine. That is their call, but that will go on FAFSA, and it will affect their ability to get scholarships and grants, whereas anything held in the grandparent's name will not. So if you do want to save in a 529 for your grandchild, keep it in your name. It's really important, and it's often a common mistake because a lot of grandparents say, I just don't want to deal with it. I'll give it to my children, and then they'll figure it out.
And I really think that that's such important info because it actually makes the grandparents' 529 even more valuable considering the amount of tuition and FAFSA education aid that you're saving.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's a real powerful tool. A few additional points on this, too, is that each state has their own 529 program. Don't get too wrapped up in which state am I saving or contributing to. You can live in Florida, your child can go to school in Massachusetts, and you can contribute to a 529 in New York. It does not matter. The only point to note is that if you are a resident in some states, you can deduct some of your 529 contributions against your state income tax. States like New Jersey and New York offer that benefit, but most states don't. And they're usually limited, and they phase out if you're into higher income levels. 529 contributions are not federally deducted, so you don't get a deduction up front. Once again, think of it like a Roth IRA. You make the contribution, the money that you put in is not tax deductible, but it grows tax-free over time. Again, in certain states, you can deduct that contribution against your state income tax. If you do not get a deduction from your state, we typically recommend the Utah 529 plan. They offer great funds through Vanguard and have very low costs, and you can find that at www.my529.org. We'll make sure that we have that link in the show notes.
So let's really bring this together because education planning doesn't seem like it's really about writing a blank check. It's about actually investing in the next generation choices. And you could really do it in a way that's flexible and tax smart. Like retirement planning, the earlier you start, the more powerful the results.
Whether it's steady annual gifts, a big upfront contribution, or direct tuition payments, what matters most is the intention. Every dollar you set aside for education is a message. I believe in your future.
Today we covered 529 plans, gifting strategies, and some tax-efficient moves.
And remember, you don't need to have all the answers all at once. Start with the basics, understand your options, and choose the strategy that works best for you and your family.
And most importantly, don't wait because time is your biggest factor.
As it is in all investing. Here's how to take some action. First of all, decide how you want to help. Is it just through steady gifts? You can start with $500 a year if that's what you can afford and that's what you want to give. A one-time contribution is also great, or direct tuition payments. What's the right fit for you? Then figure out the 529 plan that's right for you and get the account open. So make sure that you're invested appropriately and that your beneficiary is correct. Again, this is available at www.my529.org. and that'll be available in our show notes.
And these are 2 simple steps to start building that runway for the next generation. If you'd like some direction in actually what 529 plan to invest in, do your research and definitely feel free to contact us at Zenergy.
Don't forget to subscribe, and that way you'll never miss an episode of the Retirement GPS podcast and the great tips that we've got available to you. And please, 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 I'm not too proud to beg, Zane. I got to do what I got to do sometimes. Give us 5 stars. 5 stars is really what ensures that we're going to continue to give you great content going forward and these great tips so that you can continue to improve your financial future, your investment life. So stay intentional and happy planning.
Thank you for listening to Retirement GPS, navigated by Zenergy. To explore today's topic further, visit our blog Mile Markers at zenergyretirement.com/blog, where we offer detailed strategies, examples, and downloadable tools to support your retirement journey. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Zenergy Retirement Planning for weekly insights, checklists, and planning reminders. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with someone planning for their future. Until next time, keep navigating toward a confident retirement. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as investment, legal, or tax advice. Listeners should consult their own financial, tax, and legal advisors before making any decisions. Zenergy Retirement Planning is a registered investment advisor located in Red Bank, New Jersey.